Symptoms of people pleasing. Do you struggle saying no? Do you struggle saying no? Do you have this chronic need to be approved by people? Do you say yes a lot of times when you want to say no? Do you avoid conflict at all costs? Do you put yourself or your opinion down because you don't want to disturb the peace? Are you neglectful of your own needs? Do you over apologize? Hello, I'm Mike Moore, and this is the How to Win podcast. These podcasts are based off 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14. It says, "Now thanks be unto God who always causes us to triumph in Christ." I am so happy to have you with us today. I have my daughter, my sidekick, my partner in How to Win,
yes.
Tiffany Nicole Moore.
Well, hello there.
You like that?
Yeah, that's good.
That's the whole name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany Nicole.
You put it all out there. You look nice in your white.
Thank you. Yeah. I thought I was do something different.
You close to the Labor Day mark because you
Well,
you
let me
can't
share
wear it
something
after
with you. I'm
Labor
glad
Day.
you brought that up. Now, I love clothes. I like to dress. And people have this traditional thing that you can only wear white up till a Labor Day. Am I right about that? That's not contemporary. That's not a contemporary concept. You can wear white anytime.
Well, they have different versions of a white. You can wear like an off-white.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. In fact, watch. When winter hit, they're going to have sweaters that are white. Sweaters, they're not going to be beige. They're going to be white sweaters. Well, why can you wear a white sweater and not wear white pants?
So is this going into the topic that we're talking about today, people pleasing? Because that's the thing that people got to please, people pleasing when it comes to meeting certain rules with fashion.
You slipped that in, didn't you? Hey, listen. We're talking today about breaking free from people pleasing. I mentioned this to Tiffany that this is one of my classic problems early in my life. I was a classic people pleaser, so I feel like I'm an expert.
That's so funny that you said that's what you dealt with because, I always joke with you, if you a bird, I'm a bird. And so I feel like I done got that from you.
You think so?
Yeah.
You've dealt with people pleasing?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Really?
I would say that would be one of the things that because you just want to keep the peace,
You notice, I noticed that about you. Now that you brought it up.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about people pleasing and I wanna give kind of an overview of it because we're gonna talk about boundaries and approval addiction and all that. But I want to give you basically people pleasing has to do with this imbalance. I call it an imbalanced desire to satisfy people and to please people, and sometimes to your own detriment and sometimes to your own neglect. The Bible tells us that we're to prefer one another. We're to put people first, but people pleasing is the extreme of that. It's the extreme of that. And if you're sitting here, you may be wondering, am I a people pleaser? I'll give some symptoms and then we'll talk about it. Symptoms of people pleasing. Do you struggle saying no? Do you struggle saying no? Do you have this chronic need to be approved by people? Do you say yes a lot of times when you want to say no? Do you avoid conflict at all costs? Do you put yourself, your opinion down because you don't want to disturb the peace?
Mm-hmm.
Are you neglectful of your own needs? Do you over apologize?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I felt like I hit you there, Tiffany.
Where you think you hit me at?
A people pleaser will avoid conflict
How you gonna be telling my business?
and confrontation because I struggle with it too. You
Okay,
said,
so you say you think
you
you
say if what's your saying?
if you a bird, I'm a bird.
Okay, if I'm a bird, you're a bird. Well, I dealt with people pleasing.
And so you said one of the things.
Struggle saying no.
Yeah,
Chronic
one of the
need
things,
for approval. Aversion toward conflict and confrontation. Even if you know your opinion is right or you think it's right, to keep things smooth, to avoid conflict, you will just squelch your opinion.
Yeah. So I think the one for me is not necessarily saying yes when I know I need to say no, but I may give you a maybe. You know, I'm gonna give you some hope that I'm saying yes when I really want to say no. So have you ever dealt with, or have you ever?
Well, you know, let me tell you something about that right there.
Okay.
Okay. So really what it boiled down to, you smoothing it over. Because you're concerned about whether or not I will be disappointed or rejected. See, that's people pleasing. In other words, you're concerned about my response.
Right. Right. So, okay, I'll give you an example. So recently I had a friend who had a birthday. Hadn't heard from this person in a while. And they were like, hey, I'm thinking about celebrating my birthday and I want you to come. And I'm like, oh, okay, yes. You know, I'm not thinking nothing by it. And then when I realized they wanted to go to this restaurant that had just opened up and it wasn't new, but I had just posted a photo because I know the person who did the design of the thing. And so in my mind, I said, oh, she's just asking me because she's trying to see, because the reservations is gone. They've been gone for a while. And I said, oh, she's just asking me because she's thinking that I can get her the hookup, you know, of the reservations or whatever. And so in the message, she said, does anybody have any connections? Does anybody know anything? And so in my mind, I'm thinking like, girl, you know I know. And you asking me because I ain't heard from you in 50 years, right?
But you didn't say that.
I didn't say that, but in my mind, I'm thinking that. And I was finna give a response like, oh, girl, I don't know nobody, but I'll see, you know. And then one of my friends was like, just don't say nothing at all. You ain't got to say nothing. And so I ended up not saying anything. But my thought was, okay, how can I smooth this over in a way to make it still be peaceful, but it's not a necessarily no? Does that make sense? So have you ever had a time where you said yes and it should have been a no?
Absolutely. Like I said, I was a classic people pleaser. So a lot of times you say yes and then you complain about it. Why did I even say yes?
Yeah.
And sometimes you said yes because you were overly concerned about people's response, their emotions, rejection, or disappointment.
Right.
And sometimes we fall into people pleasing because we don't want to disappoint people by saying no. But see, we're not responsible for people's response.
Yeah.
We're not responsible. But if we have a high need to be approved and accepted and cool, if we want to use that term, then we'll end up saying yes when we really should say no, because we don't want the fallout.
Well, let me ask you this question, because I think some Christians can struggle with it because they look at it as, okay, I should be service, right? So a lot of Christians can be service minded, but then they enter into people pleasing. So why do you think that Christians can lose the difference between people pleasing and serving?
Well, it depends on motive. It really depends on motive. My service should flow out of a heart of love, and I should serve because it's the right thing to do.
But do you see how I'll give an example. I've seen where people wanted to volunteer and the service of it is good, but because I think that there are sometimes you should do stuff and it ain't gonna always be convenient for you.
Right.
Right. But then there are other times where it's like you just saying yes and you know it's inconvenient, but you're just saying yes because you feel like you're supposed to serve because of people pleasing.
Yeah, and I'm saying that it has a lot to do with the motive. See, if your yes to service is related to, I need you to approve of me. I need you to accept me. I need you to think that I'm a good Christian. Then that's more people pleasing than it is anything. It's not a heart of serving God. It's not a heart of helping people. I need you to approve of me and accept me. And sometimes is related to the fact that we confuse the two. You can tell whether it's people pleasing, whether or not you need validation. If you resent the fact that nobody responded, nobody said you did this, nobody said you did that, then you have to ask yourself, why did you do it?
Yeah.
Why did you do that? I'll never do that again. I'll never serve again. They didn't even thank me. Well, people should thank us. They should give validation, but I'm going to choose to not do it again because I didn't get validation from you. Was it really about the people? Was it really about God? Or was it really about my need for validation?
So you said the need for validation. Well, because you could use that same scenario and flip it in a way, but I'll use a different scenario. So let's say if it's your children, right? You have a need because you want to have a relationship with them, right? So a need for peace is something that you want, right? Let's say if you have a unstable relationship, right? So your need for peace is that you want to have a relationship with them, but then at the same time that you may feel like it requires them being pleased in some type of way about your actions or what you do for them. Does that make sense?
Are you speaking from a parent's perspective?
From a parent's perspective.
From the child's perspective.
Like if the relationship is unstable, right? And they want to have peace in some type of way, I can see a parent struggling of like, okay, I need to please this child a little bit because I want peace in this area. Does that make sense? Right.
Well, here's the thing. From a parent's standpoint, we should validate people's worth. If I'm a parent, it's my responsibility to make sure my child knows that I love them, not because of anything that they do, not because of how they act,
right,
or their behavior. That my love for you is unconditional. That I love you. Unfortunately, sometimes we parent in such a way where we end up unconsciously creating people-pleasing tendencies in our kids because the kid grew up thinking, I have to do this to be loved. I have to do that to have validation of worth. And I don't think parents intentionally do that.
Yeah.
I really don't. But I think that sometimes unconsciously, we base our acceptance of our children on their performance. And it shouldn't be based off their performance. It should be, I love you, I value you, you have worth with me because you're my child.
Yeah.
You're a part of this family, okay? Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have guidelines and rules. It doesn't mean that you don't reward or discipline. But values should be based, in other words, we want the child to grow up thinking they don't have to earn worth. They don't have to earn value. And you got to be intentional about parenting to do that. Because the kid can grow up thinking the only time I'm really approved and loved and accepted is when I'm doing what they tell me to do.
Do you think that people pleasing can turn into an act of disobedience?
Yes.
Give us. Do you have any stories? Because I was wondering, maybe his wasn't. His was more fear, but I was thinking about Jonah. Do you think that his was connected to people pleasing, or his was just more fear?
I think his was just flat out disobedience. I don't want to do that. Because he had an assumption of the people that God was sending him to minister to, that they didn't deserve mercy.
I got you.
You know what I mean? They didn't deserve mercy. I think you can end up in disobedience because in two ways, well, several ways, but two. If God is instructing you to not do a thing, okay, and you decide to do it because you want the people to be happy with you, you fall into what I call the Saul syndrome. King Saul was instructed to do something, and he disobeyed God. And then when God called him on the carpet, he gave these excuses. But then finally he said, well, I did it because I wanted to please the people. That was people pleasing.
Yeah.
So you can, if God is instructing you to say no, and you say yes because you don't want to disappoint people, then you're over in disobedience because of your people-pleasing tendency. Here's another totally different scenario. Let's say, people-pleasing really can pull you away from purpose. Because a lot of times what people want you to do and what God wants you to do is different. And let's say you giving all your attention to what people want you to do. You're giving all your attention, then you're neglecting purpose.
Yeah.
See, you're neglecting what God wants you to do. And sometimes people get so exhausted, they're exhausted. And that's one of the symptoms of people pleasing. You become exhausted spiritually and mentally and physically because you're doing stuff that God never told you to do. And so now you're over in disobedience because you don't have time to do what God called you to do because you're serving other people.
You know, it made me think of it. You could tell me if I'm off with this scenario. Do you think, because we think about people pleasing being other people, do you think people pleasing can also be in your household? So I'll give you an example. Do you think that Adam was people pleasing Eve when she told him to eat the fruit? So what do you do in those scenarios where you want your spouse to be happy, but it may be you choosing to have to do something that may be disobedience to God?
Well, that gets over into boundaries, and it gets over into, am I responsible for your disappointment? Am I responsible for your anger? Am I responsible for all your expectations? And see, when people don't have boundaries, they assume responsibility of people's emotions, their reactions, their responses, their expectations, their disappointment. You cannot follow God and not disappoint some people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's let that settle right there.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big. I had a lot of anxiety as a young minister because I wanted these people to be happy.
Well, you know, that's so interesting about the expectation, because when I ain't never been married, but when I think about it, like when you think about it from a spouse thing, you said that, am I responsible for your expectations? But a lot of people go into marriage with expectations.
Right. And you have to discuss these expectations.
Right.
Because they have to be realistic.
Right.
And they have to be Bible-based expectations.
Right.
And what I mean by that, expectations, for example, let's say a husband have a desire for do threesomes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have an open marriage.
Yeah.
Well, and I say, I don't want to have an open marriage. I don't want to be sleeping with somebody else, and you sleeping with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's an unrealistic, unreasonable expectation.
Yeah.
So just because a person has an expectation, these are things you should talk about. I shouldn't have to go against my convictions and go against the word to make you happy.
Yeah. So let's talk about the because you used a.
Okay. Give me another illustration.
Okay.
Let's say you're a Christian and your spouse is not a Christian, and your spouse said, "I don't want you going to church."
Well, I was gonna use that scenario. Let's say both of them Christians.
Huh?
Let's say both of them Christians.
Okay.
Let's say both of them Christians, because I feel like, most of our audience, most of them are in marriages that are both Christians. Let's say both of them are Christians. But let's say once y'all started off in marriage, going to church, and then the online church started being more important to you, and you got one spouse who want to watch it online and never go to church, and you got a spouse that want to go to church. What do you do in those moments?
Well, I think church attendance is important, and this person probably got that same conviction. Okay, I can't dictate or mandate that my spouse go to church. I can't do that because God doesn't do that.
Right.
God doesn't force people to do things. I could say, honey, I think we need to attend church. I think it's good. I think we need to be around people. I think even though we're getting the word, we're still isolated from community. We need some community.
Yeah.
And if that person said, well, I don't need that, all I need is the word, then there's nothing you can do about that except pray about it and go to church. See, marriage doesn't give us the right to demand a person to do a certain thing.
Right.
Because God doesn't. God gives us instructions. God tells us the right way. God said, this is what I want you to do. But then he don't force us to do it.
Yeah.
He gives us the good news of the gospel, but he don't make us get saved. And you can't make people get saved. Now, what I think is, a lot of times is really something lacking in us. I need you to approve of me in order for me to feel that I'm worth anything.
Right.
To feel that I have value. Now, that is a problem.
Yeah.
That is not healthy to need somebody else to approve me to feel that I'm worth anything. And then if you say you just, so-and-so, whatever, you ain't this, you ain't that, you not this, you not that, then for me to give that kind of weight to your opinion is a form of disrespect for your own self.
So help me distinguish, because you have a thing when it comes to marriages, like you have your love languages, right? And so you may have a person who needs words of affirmation, right? I feel like there could be a thin line between affirming the person versus going down to people pleasing because this person has a low self-identity of their worth, right? So how does a spouse navigate those areas?
It's challenging because there is a need that a person has that their spouse can't feel.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, early in our marriage, Pete wasn't happy. She just really wasn't happy. I wasn't happy either, you know, because we were struggling in our marriage. But my challenge was I was trying to make her happy. I wanted her to be happy, but she wasn't happy. And then she said to me, it may have been years later, she said, Mike, you're not the problem. She said, you're not the problem. So now there is a need that she has that only God can satisfy, only God can fulfill. What becomes frustrating is that sometimes even in our marriages, we assume responsibility for what we're not responsible for.
Yeah.
We are responsible for meeting our mate's marital needs.
Right.
But we're not responsible for meeting God, I put it like this, God only needs, the needs that God only can meet.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I can be kind to you, caring to you, want to do everything, but if you have some unresolved past issues,
Right.
that's unrelated to me, then I can't help you. And for example, let's flip it over.
Okay.
I was struggling with the fact that I wasn't sure Pete loved me, you know. And here she's left an environment, go to a state, she knows anybody to be with me. It's obvious that she loved me. But what I had a problem with was rejection. My rejection was unrelated to her. So there's nothing she can do to change that, feel that, fix that, resolve that, because I had rejection on the inside of me. That was a need that I had to take to God. That was a need that I had to have healing from God. My wife couldn't heal me from rejection.
Yeah.
That actually was rooted in my past. It's something that I had to deal with, some forgiveness I had to deal with, some healing I needed to receive from God. So some needs are not issues of people pleasing. They're just totally different.
Okay, so you brought in the word rejection. So early on in your career, you said that you had to disappoint people. Knowing that you dealt with the rejection thing, how did you become okay with disappointing people and not feeling rejected?
Okay. Oh, that's a great question, Tip. What wholeness did for me, wholeness and knowledge, because you got to get in the Word and begin to look at things the way God looks at those things. I had to, wholeness kept me from internalizing everything. Because I internalized persecution, I internalized people not going to coming to church. It was all personal to me. You were rejecting me. When really it had nothing to do with me. It may have, but it may not have had anything to do with me.
Right.
And then I was assuming responsibility, because see, it was a conversion of rejection, people-pleasing tendencies, faulty thinking. I thought that if I taught the Word and I lived right, people would accept me and love me. And when that didn't happen for some people, because there were some people didn't like me at all.
Yeah.
And all I was doing was I didn't know enough of other stuff I didn't know enough about pastoring, so I'm just trying to teach the Word. That's not because I don't know a lot of stuff, so I'm trying to teach the Word. So I thought if I taught you the Word, then you will always receive it. You will be better. You will like me and all that. But see, I had to grow in my knowledge. Jesus was the truth. He didn't just teach truth. He was the truth.
Yeah.
And they wanted to throw him across the hill.
Yeah.
But he didn't internalize that. I mean, he didn't walk away saying, maybe I'm not this, maybe I'm not that. He didn't assume responsibility for people's anger and their expectations and their rejection. He didn't embrace that. He was whole. I wasn't healthy. A lot of people, usually when people pleasers are not healthy, because if you disagree with them, it bothers them. I mean, they messed up. If they don't accept you or praise you or validate you, oh, they messed up. They messed up. Why? They're not healthy. Yeah. They're not healthy. Listen, you can do exactly what God tells you to do and people be disappointed.
Yeah.
You can do exactly what God tells you to do and people be hurt. You can do exactly what God tells you to do and people be angry at you. And you have to understand that. But if you're not healthy, you need them to not be disappointed. You need them to love Mike. I need you to love me. Tell me I'm doing good. Yeah. Don't walk away. Don't leave church, because I'm not healthy. So I need it. I need you to validate me. So now watch this. My focus is not God approval. My focus is people approval.
Okay, so stop right there. Okay. A person who's watching, and let's say I am struggling with people pleasing. How do I know when I'm being led by God or God driven versus the desire of approval?
Well, your focus should, number one, be on God's approval. Your focus should never be on whether or not people are pleased with what you do. Because if your focus is on whether or not they're going to be pleased, you can never make a difficult decision.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You can never terminate a person. You can never discipline a person.
Yeah.
You can never boldly stand up and tell people the truth, even though it's unpopular. And when you study Jesus' life, he told the truth, whether you liked it or not. He told the truth, whether you followed him or not. He told the truth, whether you want to throw him across the hill or whether you wanted to come near him and hear what he had to say, because he was God-focused. Not people focused. He was not trying to get validation from people. He was trying to please God. So when you get delivered, your focus shifts from approval to obedience. See, the issue with people pleasing is you need approval.
Yeah.
But the issue with being led by God is obedience. Am I following you? Because see, I used to teach things and then people get upset and mad at me, and I wonder whether they call me a false prophet. I said, am I? Like, God, am I?
Yeah.
I'm caught up in that because of my need to have affirmation. I need you to come up and shake my hand and tell me I preached a good sermon.
Yeah, and I can see that be a struggle, especially if that's affirmation is one of your love languages, and that's one of the ways that you feel love. So if you feel loved in that way, you can kind of...
You can abuse it. It can be an abuse of that need for affirmation. See, following God has to be following God. And not just from a ministry standpoint. I had to make some decisions as a new believer that I was going to follow God.
Yeah.
And my following God, family, friends, other folk were not going to be happy.
Yeah.
And see, that was my challenge. Is I needed people to be happy.
Okay, so let's...
And like you, your challenge is you don't confront like you should because you don't like the tension with it.
Right.
See, you don't like the tension connected with it. You have to get to the point where you don't see tension as a problem. It's not a problem. People's disappointment is not a problem for you. It's a problem for them. People's hurt and all that is not a problem for you. It's a problem for them. You have to get to the point where your response is, if God tell me to tell you something and you get mad at me, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
That's your problem. But see, you got to be healthy.
But now we talk about it in one of our past episodes of did God tell you this, or was it something else? So watch that episode, because somebody can tell you.
Is that your excuse for not confronting?
No. I'm saying that sometimes you can get mad at somebody that God told you something, and you need to differentiate between, was this God or was this the person?
That's true.
So watch the episode that we posted. Is this God or is this not God?
Right.
Let's shift gears because we got a few minutes left. Let's shift gears. Let's talk about boundaries and people pleasing. How do you set a boundary with people without feeling guilty? Because a lot of times the guilt is associated with setting those boundaries. How can a person set those boundaries without the guilt?
By gaining understanding of boundaries, what they are and what they're designed to do. Boundaries are not selfish. So you have to renew your mind. Renew your mind that boundaries are not selfish.
Yeah.
Boundaries help us to honor our God-given limits.
Yeah.
We have limits physically, limits emotionally, limits spiritually. We have limits to our assignment, our purpose, what God calls us to do. Boundaries help me to honor the fact that I'm not limitless, like our pastor been teaching us, that God is limitless, okay? But I have limit energy, limit emotional space, I have limit finances, I have limits on my assignment. So if I'm constantly saying yes to everything, then I'm working against myself.
Yeah.
I'm working against myself. So the boundaries help me to stay within my limits. And no is a boundary word. It is not selfish. It's self-respect. I'm respecting me. And when I set a boundary, I'm saying that I'm not responsible for everybody's expectation.
Yeah.
I'm not responsible for your reaction, your response, your emotions. So boundaries, now here's the truth. You said without guilt, if you've had no boundaries, if you're a people pleaser, when you first begin to set them, you're going to feel discomfort.
Yeah.
You may feel guilt.
Right.
Okay? Just keep on doing it. And then it becomes second nature for you.
Yeah. That's good. Okay. So you got a few minutes. I want you to do a rapid fire answer to this question.
Rapid fire answer.
How can I replace approval addiction?
By understanding it's an issue of focus.
Okay.
Approval addiction is people focus.
Okay.
God confidence is God focus. And you gotta take the time to decide which are you willing to follow.
Yeah.
Because you can't follow people and God at the same time. You can't. You got to choose. And it's about focus. It's about who does I need or who do I need approval from if I have to choose one or the other.
Yeah.
And you do have to choose one or the other. Who do I need approval from? Now, once you understand that approval addiction is people focus, then with that understanding, implied in that understanding that I am going to have to say no to people. There are times I'm going to have to say no to people.
Yeah.
It's implied, it's inherent in the decision to be God focused. That I'm going to have to say no. I'm going to have to deal with people's disappointment, their hurt, their anger at my saying no. But that's the cost of being God focused.
Yeah, that's good. Well, we hope you guys got something out of this lesson of approval addiction. Well, people pleasing, not approval addiction, but people pleasing. And as always, we want you to let us know down in the comments what's one thing that you took away from this conversation and what's one thing that you're going to be working on when it comes to people pleasing and making sure that we are focusing on God and not on people. Yep. Anything else?
I'm good.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe, and you can share this with a family member or friend, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.
All right.